Ooh. You can put those on if you want. You don't have to. You hear better.
Okay.
All right. And then only thing on you as well is if you hear me talking right here versus if you hear me talking over here, changes the sound a little bit. So, and it's not a big deal. It'll pick up the sound either way, and we can adjust it in the recording. But just do your best if we can talk in the microphone, and it'll be all good. Somebody's calling you if you want to. No worries. Perfect. Still good to go. But, well, guys, welcome here. Let me open this for you, Anya.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Welcome to the Vigilante Podcast, episode 47. This is an exciting one for me. This one's near and dear to my heart. We got Anya Higley joining us today. She was actually the one who introduced me to yoga in the first place. Before I was introduced, I thought it was just kind of one of those things where people are stretching and that was their workout. And then I got introduced when I was training to get into MMA and get into fighting, and she really opened my eyes to what yoga really is and what it really can be as far as a spirituality practice, really healing from the inside out. And it was more, you're never going to get a better stretch, but it was so much deeper than that when I was just naive to what exactly it was and what it could do for you. And just want to say thank you so much for finally being able to join us, Anya. It's so incredible to have you.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you, like I said. What we've been working for a while. We've both just kind of been busy. Schedules haven't been able to line up. Now that you're here, I know it's the harvest moon just happened. The full moon just happened. So we're about to start getting into being able to reap what we've been sowing. So time for abundance at the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
But first off, let's start off with your story and where you came from and where you originated getting into yoga, if that's all right.
So where I came from, or where yoga came from into my life?
Let's do both. Where did you come from, and how did yoga get introduced into your life?
So yoga was introduced to me about 15 years ago.
Okay.
By a neighbor, and she's an amazing yoga teacher, Nikki Baker. And at one of the yoga practices, and this was at the gym in Clearfield. Don't even remember the name, but And at the end, I remember after Shavasana, she brought us up, and Shavasana is like the final pose in yoga where you rest and you integrate the whole practice. And it's a meditative state of mind, like a sleep, a yogic sleep. And after she brought us up, she read a poem, and I remember just like welling, my heart just swelling, and my eyes just started crying, and I had nothing going on in my life and that I had to cry about. So it just was an emotional moment, and it made me pause and think, what was that?
Right.
What was that feeling? Or it felt almost like a little awakening to something interesting. Mm-hmm. So I just continued on going, having babies, and a couple of babies along the way. I just kind of practiced in between, and about 4 years ago, I finally was able to be, I would say, brave enough to become a teacher. Yeah. I started teaching at the MMA gym.
Right.
When we first met. That was the place that truly opened the doors for me.
So that was just the very beginning of your teaching career?
Well, a few months in.
Wow.
Yeah.
And she came in there like expert, like that was some of the best yoga classes I've ever had. And it was intimate because we had probably 4 to 5 fighters was all. Yeah. And we were all training, and she was able to give us each individualized attention in that little group. And there was nothing like it. Yeah. Like nice. It was absolutely crazy. And he's done a lot of martial arts in his life as well. So
yeah, I read some books about martial arts and yoga, and kind of created some sequences for you guys, just knowing how they were doing. Yeah. And it was a cool experience for me to begin with.
Yes.
And then I didn't even have the training at And I taught myself,
Yeah.
basically, from all the years of taking. I had an app, and I was
Okay.
just learning on the app at home, and it just really felt, it's just like memories. It's just something you remember, and once you know it, like you can't unknow it.
Right.
Like it's just like deep inner knowing of what's naturally flowing through you to people.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I became a teacher and had an amazing training, my 200-hour in Salt Lake with Natalie Bushai.
Okay.
Mindful and embodied. It's very private, small, like a boutique style studio. Amazing wisdom and yoga philosophy teachings. Like it was very private. Private training.
And I love that because, like I said, when we had that more private training, it was just like you just feel it. It's like the electricity's in the air. It's so weird.
There's nothing like when you have to learn something. There's no better teacher than you teaching it.
Right.
Exactly. And I'm teaching myself along the way, and it feels like I'm learning along the way.
100%. Because if your students have questions, you have to come up with the answer.
Or just simply say, I don't know, and then go home and
I'll find out
research
for
it
you.
and find out and deliver. Yeah. So yeah, that's been that. I'm teaching at a couple of studios, and originally I came from Russia in 1995.
Wow. Okay.
And I was 20 years old, and just feels like I left everything behind.
And was that a good thing or was that a negative thing? Like when you closed that chapter and come to the States?
I don't want to say it's a negative thing.
Yeah.
It's, I think it felt like an escape.
Yeah.
An escape of something that at times was so painful to me, and I wanted to leave that, but at the same time, it's like your roots, and it's that painful drawback.
Right.
Like it draws you to itself. I don't know, whenever I go to Russia, it just really feels so emotional in so many ways. Like I cry almost all day there, just feeling, I don't know, yeah, I guess my childhood would probably cause those kind of painful memories, but when I came, it was a good thing that I came.
Yeah. And we're all
It felt
blessed
like
and
an
fortunate that you
escape.
did.
It felt like just a completely wiped a new chapter in my life.
Yeah.
What made you choose the United States?
So my original reason why I came was I joined the Mormon church
Okay.
when the wall came down and
Gotcha.
all the religion came through into the country.
Yeah.
In Russia, we didn't have religion. We were raised atheists.
Wow.
And so at 18, that's when everything just opened up and all the religions started coming from all over the world.
Yeah.
Missionaries from every religion you can possibly think of. Somehow, the LDS Church was the first one that I was invited to.
Interesting. Okay.
And so for me, I was at a point where I was seeking some sort of answers. And,
Yeah.
coming into more of a adult life.
Right.
I didn't want to believe into the dark hole anymore, into nothing.
Right.
So anything that sounded good was, people were just grabbing and hungry and spiritually hungry for anything.
Wow. Interesting. That's so cool.
And so I joined the church, and it was just like, felt like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Like from the dark gray and black childhood and teens coming into like this bright world of spirituality and inside religion.
Yeah.
So it sometimes feels like if I found it anywhere else, I would like just grab onto it because it was nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's way cool.
Yeah,
That's interesting you say that. dark gray and black. Because like when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, that was my vision of Russia. Not even really, I've never been there obviously, and not knowing anything about it really, but that was kind of how I pictured it. That's interesting you say that.
That's just kind of my memories of that.
Right.
And just black and white TV.
Yeah.
The war movies, that's all we ever watched, was the World War II sad movies.
Right.
Yeah, kind of depressing memories of the past.
Gotcha. That's so interesting. And then also, if there's any questions that you don't want to answer, just say we'll move on to the next. So anything, just want you to make sure you feel comfortable. And we're, like I said, we're just thankful for you to be able to join us and talk about this. So what, once you got into the States, when you came to Clearfield right out of the gate, you were in Utah?
Yeah, I was in Utah. I just lived in South Salt Lake for a little while. I used to work in the South Salt Lake area, and eventually came to Clearfield, Layton, and stayed in Davis County. Yeah.
And then was introduced to yoga.
Yeah.
Incredible. So what would you say the difference is? Because in my opinion, tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like yoga kind of transcends any religion, like necessarily. It's more of a spirituality type thing, but I feel like most religions practice it and most non-religious people practice it because there's something different about it, would you say?
Yeah, I feel like yoga, for me, yoga is like this magical gift that's been given to us by some kind of an amazing divine source, like a tool for us to have, to evolve ourselves, to grow. And I feel like that came before any organized religion appeared. And I'm sure a lot of the religion was drawn from yoga or began from yoga. But yeah, I feel like yoga has really nothing to do with religion. You know, it's not a religion. I feel like it's a science of life.
Yeah.
You know, a way to ascend.
Increase consciousness in a way almost.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, reawaken yourself.
100%. I love it. What, as far as when you started practicing, what got you into it? Like first off, to get you to that gym at the Clearfield gym where you were introduced to have that moment of, wow, this has some power to it.
Yeah, so that alone, and I had, what really got me into it?
Yeah.
I just feel there's some sort of a calling. Like it's the calling of the soul.
Right.
You are naturally drawn to something and you feel it and you continue doing it.
Yeah.
And along the way you realize, wow, this is like where I need to be.
Right.
Like there's just not really an explanation to it, but it kind of becomes, or you awaken into it as if it's like your purpose.
Right.
And you can be a teacher, you can also be a student for life. Like you don't have to teach yoga to truly feel it and understand it.
100%. No, I love that. And I feel like everybody does have that calling of some sort in some sort of craft. But if they're not listening to themselves, if they're not listening to that calling, it's easy to get distracted, especially in today's day and age where
Be afraid.
Right.
Some people might call it a talent. I have this talent,
Right.
rather than calling it a calling.
Right, exactly.
Calling a gift or offering or a blessing.
Right.
No one wants to admit they have a blessing to this
Right.
world. I mean, for some reason people shy away from that.
Maybe even fear of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
That's a very strong fear that most people
Feeling
have.
small and undeserving or unworthy or fear of
Yeah,
not
that's huge.
being accepted. And
Right.
yeah, I personally had to transcend through a lot of those fears myself and just put myself together and knowing that I'm going to be divinely guided
Yes.
every step of the way. There's just that trust that comes along. when you just show up and magic happens.
Yeah. No, I love that you said that too, because I don't know if you're familiar with Henry Ford, but like the Ford car, the Ford vehicle, he started all of those up, and in today's day and age, he would have been worth about $200 billion. And at the very end of his autobiography, he just talks about how important faith is. And faith is like believing in things that are unseen, but knowing that things are going to be able to come in that direction. And that transcends all religions. Like there's just that knowing, like I'm here for a reason. Why am I here? Some people have to take a lot of deep diving to find that out, and they have to break through those fears to level up almost. And you're such an amazing example of breaking through those fears because of what you've already accomplished and where you came from. So again, we're just blessed to be able to have you on here. What as far as like the history of yoga, where did yoga come from? India.
And it's about 5,000 years old.
Gotcha. Okay.
Wow.
Dude, it's nuts, man. Like it is the real deal. Like you just start like my back and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The other day I was squatting and I went too heavy too fast, and my SI joint popped out, and I'd been having issues with it since high school. But I was like, man, like okay, I know. So I started getting back on just the home yoga, pulling up some YouTube videos here and there, and just really like icing yoga, stretching yoga, and I already know, so much faster. In high school, it would have taken me 2-3 weeks, and it still would have like really hurt.
Yeah.
And then now it's just 4 days of dedicated focus on it, stretching it out, rehabbing it, and getting that yoga in. And it's weird because I didn't know this. Like I get tight like in my shoulders and in my hips. I get tight, and I didn't know until I started doing yoga that a lot of that tightness comes from stress.
Yeah.
And it comes from stress that I don't even know all the time that I'm going through. But it's just little things that you start doing. And like I'll notice I'm clenching my teeth sometimes.
I do the same thing.
And tell people like, T, stop clenching your teeth. Like, oh, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And that's that unconscious stress that your body tightens up, it builds up, and then until you release it, it's weird. As you start releasing it and going through the yoga practices, they'll come up. Like the emotions come back up, and it's just like I kind of equate it to when I go on a cleanse, like a juice cleanse or just even a water fast or something like that. And I've done that just because I've studied a decent amount of doctors that have practiced it throughout history. Yeah. But it's so interesting because weird emotions will come up as you're cleansing your body out, like old emotions. Like you'll get angry at something you forgot you were angry at.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, that comes back up until it passes, and that's like, feels like a weight's lifted. And when I'm able to get in the yoga side of things and get into that spiritual practice, I can really like take a weight off my shoulders almost. And it's weird, man. It is so cool to see. And where from your studies, Anya, where did it originated in India, but where did it come from? Who started it? Do you know, or like how it came to be? How'd they start the movement?
So I think the very beginning of yoga was actually all about meditation and about finding that higher consciousness within the mind.
Yeah. And
the poses just came later down the road when, and this is like my interpretation, I might be wrong, and just my understanding from what I know, from what I feel, as the humanity continued to evolve and live differently than in the beginning of times when we were so connected to nature,
right,
into the earth, into the sky, and just truly lived aligned accordingly to all the seasons and all the times of day, and ate healthy foods, and we weren't rigid.
Right.
And as we became more rigid over hundreds and thousands of years, it was impossible to sit in the meditation for long periods of time.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to prepare for the meditations and the time to rest into the mind, the poses were created to have that practice of loosening up the body in order to settle into that throne of meditation. Like it's a support. The asanas or the poses
Yeah.
are created and practiced to support the actual meditation state of mind. There's yogis that can sit for 8 hours, 10 hours in the seated pose, in
Yeah.
lotus pose,
Wow.
without moving, eating, drinking, just meditating. And but in order to do that for any of us, we have to prepare for
Right.
a long time and practice and get warm and get stretched, in all the ways, strengthening ourselves. And
Right.
so, and then for me, there's a magical side to it, a mythopoetical side to yoga. There was 3 deities in the Hindu mythology. Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the sustainer, and then Shiva, the destroyer. So they created the world and they had their consorts and to help them and assist them in the creation of this world and all the energies. Shiva was originally the lord of yoga.
Okay,
And so-
gotcha. And he was the destroyer.
Yeah.
Okay, I love
He's
it.
the destroyer, the liberator, in order for the new, the rebirth.
Gotcha. Because you have to break down and rebuild.
Yeah, like without death, there's no life. So
Yeah.
you have to.
Mm-hmm.
And so the yoga traditions, the mytho-poetical yoga traditions came from the Lord of Yoga teaching all the ways of yoga to his consort Parvati. And they would escape to the bottom of the ocean. There was a cave. And it symbolizes our own like cave within, our wisdom, that dark place that we go to retreat and restore within our own selves whenever we need that healing inward, to be a hermit, or just to gather that inner wisdom. So in that place, they were the student and the teacher, Shiva and Shakti, the feminine and the masculine. And there was a wise sage up above the ocean, and he wanted to learn the ways of Shiva and the ways of yoga. So he turned himself into the fish
Okay.
and went underneath
Yeah.
into the ocean, into the cave, learned and brought the yoga back into the world. But it's like a magical story.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick to that one.
No, I love it. Like I spend a lot of time trying to study different religions and what they believe, and studying different myths and different ancient civilizations. So it's so interesting because they all tie. They all tie together, and they all have similar symbols, and they all have similar beliefs. If you can really break it down to the actual bricks that build up that entire house of whatever that belief or faith is. And no, that's very, very interesting. I absolutely love it.
And it's also symbolic in so many different
Right.
ways in every story.
Right.
Whether it's just everything is a metaphor, and everything is alive within our own selves.
Right. I was listening to this one guy, and he's a philosopher type person, and he was talking about how like symbolism is, as soon as man can unlift the veil of symbolism, they'll be able to understand so much more, because one symbol could mean 1,000 different things, but it transcends language. And I mean, it goes back from when the Egyptians and the Mayans and ancient cultures were writing in hieroglyphs. Like people today, they can't really decipher it, but now what's interesting is after it turned into words and it's turned into the alphabet and into the dictionary, now we're on our phones again, sending emojis for our emotions. Exactly. And it's that Confucius saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And it's so true.
It can all be translated different.
Right. Exactly. And you just never know. You really got to be able to take it all in at the same time. But it's so interesting how we're going back to it again, and cycles just repeat themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see what these next 10 years have, and how the young people of our generation are going to start to communicate moving forward, because communication's already changed in the past 10 years ago from now, and it's only going to get even more and more interesting. And then you have some wild stuff. Like if you look into dolphins are some of the most interesting creatures. Like they can communicate almost telepathically. And if you look at twins and human beings,
Yeah.
they can almost do the same thing. And so it's like, I tell you what, we are more powerful than we've been taught to believe. And if we could get away from the current distractions in today's day and age, where, like you were saying, Anya, where people are more connected with the earth, they're more connected with the sky and the animals around them and their environment. And I think of it like the American Indians. Like they were so in tune with their surroundings. And every culture from the ancient past, they had to have been.
Yeah.
And there's so much knowledge in there that we're missing out on. And people got so separated from it, they don't even know how it works anymore. So you'll go to ancient structures and be like, man, I don't even know how they could have done it. With today's tools and today's day and age, we couldn't even have done this. And the reason being because they got disconnected from that knowledge, from that power, from those systems that they created. And I truly think, and especially since I've been adopting yoga into my lifestyle, that it is a way to tap back in.
Why do you think everything got disconnected like that?
You know, that's an interesting question in itself. I think it had a lot to do with money. I think it had a lot to do with money and who was going to be able to profit off of those things, because it goes back to the previous talks when we've had a good coach. A good coach wants you to know more than they have, or they want you to do better than they can do at the time. And then at some point along the line, I feel like there was a group of people that got a little prideful, a little selfish, and kept some knowledge for themselves and didn't want to share their knowledge with other people. And because that happened, it slowly began a bigger and bigger and bigger gap of what some people knew and some people didn't know. And that way they were able to capitalize on those things and adjust basically the game how they wanted to in order to be able to profit off of it. But man, it is so weird. Like yoga, I've never meditated like that. I would be like, man, meditation, like it wasn't for me. Because I'd always be stressed and uptight, and always though. But it's like, no, I can't meditate. That's for the relaxed people. Yeah. I'm not a relaxed person. And then it's like, I'm the guy that needs it more than anybody. And then I finally get into a place where Anya can guide me and show me, like, oh my goodness. Next thing you know, you're seeing pictures in your head. It's like a lucid dream, wherever you're dreaming, and it's like super vivid. As soon as you warm your body up, like she was saying, and I didn't even realize that until today, that all of those poses are for leading up to the ultimate meditation of the mind.
To Shavasana too.
Right.
You can just disconnect from your body, your mind, and just be in a meditating, dream, lucid state.
And you can control it. It's the weirdest thing, but it's beautiful, because it's like it's a whole new place. You realize you can retreat into yourself at any time. You realize you can go into an entirely new world, and although the world outside of you, it might even be going back to where you are, where people are feeling like it's a dark and gray place in their environment around them. But they can retreat into themselves and create whatever they want to create. And then they can start gaining traction towards getting to that new spot. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
But man, yoga, it's a real deal. How long you said you've been about 4 years now, heavily teaching?
About almost 5 years.
5 years now? Because my little one's 5, and it was just when she was born.
Yeah, and then I was teaching at home to my kids, to my husband, to my friends, whoever would. And then I think in the spring, I started in the MMA gym. Yeah.
What do you think, and that's interesting for a kid's perspective, what impact would you say yoga would be able to have on a kid in today's lifestyle, since you were able to kind of see it and how they were able to cope with some of the challenging things that kids go through and grow through?
Yeah, kids in yoga is amazing. I would just only recommend that to all the kids to either do it at home with their parents or go to wherever they offer. At schools especially, I feel like they should have yoga for gym instead, like part of the gym. They have every single sport out there, but no yoga.
Right.
So they, they're not really familiar with, and it's not that often you see like a kid practicing yoga. It just depends on us as parents to be like that responsible. If that's what we believe is helping our children, but yeah, I think it should just be part of education curriculum in every school. Definitely philosophy behind it.
Well, we're in such a fast-paced world that they want these kids just to run, get your energy out by running.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't want them to stop and slow down,
Right.
do yoga. Education is the key.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of schools just online how they do meditation instead of
detention.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a great
I'm sure we're heading
Yeah.
that way. I have faith.
Absolutely. What would you say, like we're listening to the background music here, how important is music to a practice, and how come? What is the effect of music in life? Like I have my beliefs, but I want to be able to hear.
I don't think music is necessary,
Okay.
really, because we often don't like it. We just have to continue practicing and continue keeping that connection to ourselves. So,
Yeah.
But a good, amazing music just sets the space and just like that resonant space. It feels good because music is a form of art.
Yes.
And it's written so that we could use it, especially music for yoga. I mean, it's specifically the artists make it so that we can use it. And it's a lot of the time it is high vibration music,
Yeah.
high frequency to just really open us up through the yoga practice. Can get lost in the music, and it's so supportive
Right.
for meditation and that meditative state of mind and meditative movement. That's all it is. It's just a meditation, a form of meditation. It can be moving.
No, I love it, and it's almost like you're saying, if like the stretch gets harder, the body starts hurting, and instead of focusing on the pain and the uncomfortableness, you focus on getting comfortable there, and you kind of tap into the music while you're growing, because it's continually raising you.
Yeah.
And I don't know who it was. It was one of the famous classical music people. I don't know if it was Beethoven or Mozart. And, you know what? It was Pythagoras, actually, interestingly enough, and he was a mathematician. He created the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But he, in this book I was reading, it was talking about how he noticed a drunk man, and he was knocking on his girlfriend's door, or maybe it was the wife, but it was his significant other. And he was knocking on it, she wasn't answering, and you could tell like they were gonna fight. And he was drunk and he was mad, and he went and got a bunch of sticks or something. And this was like old school, like ancient times. And I think he's gonna start a fire or something because she wouldn't let him in, so he's getting lit up. And this man's drunk, and Pythagoras is watching this story happen, and he looks over, and this guy's playing a stringed instrument at a really, really fast, like almost angry pace. And so he's like, man, like he's watching the situation go down, and he goes and he speaks to the person. He says, play a different tune. He says, play a soft, soothing, and relaxing, more of a high frequency, a better resonant tune. And he starts playing it. And he sees the drunk man go up to the doorstep, kind of think through what he's doing, and look around, picks up the sticks, and walks home. And it's like, I could be off by a couple details on the sticks or whatever on the story, but it's the same concept. It's almost hypnotic, and it can help you get into, again, in the meditative state, that lucid. It's
a space like where you don't feel your body, you don't feel any pain, or
right.
While you're moving, and the pain that you feel feels like soothing.
Right.
And like amazing.
That's a weird feeling. Like, why do you think that is? Why do you think you get that feeling?
I just feel it's a natural way of our body, because in yoga we just don't use anything extra outside of our bodies to like mold and sculpt our bodies. There's no extra machines or anything heavy, and from that, it's just the strengthening and the lengthening in the muscles and everything opening up. It's the energy, the chakra system. It's all involved with the breath, and it just becomes just magic.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
No, I believe it 100%. And
We were there.
yeah, oh yeah, I've been there multiple times, and that's why there, like I said, there's nobody like you in the teaching that I've personally been to. How could somebody, before I ask my next question, how could somebody reach out to you and get a hold of you in the Utah area for some of your teachings to possibly try some of your classes?
So I can be found on Facebook.
Okay.
My schedule is there. I'm on Instagram. I'm Higley. There's a yoga trail, a yoga app where my schedule is.
Perfect.
LinkedIn. I don't know. Yeah, just a few places.
Anything social
You can
media?
Search Anya Higley.
Anya Higley, Higley, correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm excited. You guys got to try this girl out. Like I said, best yoga teacher I've ever been to. I've been to a decent amount of them now over the past 4 or 5 years, and still, you can get a good practice, you can get a good stretch, but as far as the spiritual level and really getting in tune with consciousness, and there's nobody the person that can go above you. So my pleasure, and thank you for educating me as well. So tell me this. I used to watch, like I said earlier, I used to watch this cartoon, and it was always talking about the equinoxes and all this stuff. And then, interestingly enough, I started studying archaeology and ancient mythology and some of the ancient structures, and they were big time on equinoxes. Like some of the pyramids, they would line up like there's ones in South America where on a certain equinox, the way the sunlight would go down, it would look like a snake is coming down the pyramid, and like all kinds of cool stuff. What is the importance of equinoxes to you, or even to a yoga standpoint?
So equinox basically means equal.
Okay.
And it happens twice a year, fall and spring equinox, where the daylight and the night light are equal and they come together like this perfect balance.
Yeah.
And then from this point forward, from today forward, the darkness starts growing.
Right.
The light becomes smaller. So in many different traditions, both are honored, light and the darkness. And the darkness is not feared, and the darkness is a place where you can truly allow healing in this time of year and to kind of settle inward, settle into preparing for the winter and slowing down the pace and going into release into that darkness. And then in December, the winter solstice comes.
So, and maybe I got those mixed up, the equinox and the solstice, but what's the difference there?
So the equinox is the equal day and night, and then the winter solstice is the longest night, and then the summer solstice is the longest day.
Gotcha.
And I think the shortest opposite.
I think that might have been when the snake comes down the pyramid, but one of them, either equinox or the solstice.
But yeah, those are like the main four celebrations, and you celebrate the earth and you celebrate the sun coming in. It's just so many meanings of the birth of the sun or coming back.
It's like the sun is born again.
In December, the sun is born again out of the darkness, and then now they're just together. It's like this balance. You feel just like really balanced and more together, and then you begin to lean more inwards. Yeah.
I love it. So, and what does it mean in yoga? Are you able to just feel a different feel as you get more in tune?
In yoga, a lot of practices in yoga are bringing us into the harmony and the balance of the two opposites, of the two paradox. So coming into through the practices, and then during the summer and winter solstice, it's tradition to practice 108 sun salutations. Seen that?
Yeah.
So you literally can take an hour and a half of constant moving, and you begin to feel so flexible and warm, stretched, and amazing. But that's usually just summer. I think it may, I'm not sure exactly how much that has to do with yoga, the summer, the fall equinox, or the solstice, but To me, it would just mean bringing together all of yourself,
Yeah.
the dark and the light, into the balance and harmony through your practice, through the sadhanas, which is the daily practices for yogis, through your meditation, through mantra, nidra, whatever you practice.
What is there a significant reason why it's 108 sun salutations?
It's just one of the auspicious numbers.
Okay.
And it actually breaks into 3 parts. I think it's 36, 36, and 36.
Okay.
Yeah. And the first 36 mean, when you practice through it, it means letting go of everything that's in the past. It's holding you back from being just fully present in this moment, no matter what is happening in your life. Just let everything go and practice through it. And the next 36 would be letting go of everything in the present, anything that's in your mind right now, any stress, any anxiety, anything that's out of control, chaotic, just so that you can focus and center yourself. And then the next 36, letting go of all the worries of the future, so that you're just neutral.
Yeah.
You're in your body, you're present, no matter what is happening, you can just be with your breath, be poised and graceful warrior, whatever you need to be in that moment.
Absolutely. Did you have a question?
How important is breathing? That sounds like a weird
Amazingly
question.
important, right? I mean, so we could live, so we can go on, but choosing an actual mindful, deep, conscious breath is choosing yourself. It's choosing to win, choosing your own victory by just taking a deep breath in any difficult moment, any difficult situation, any hardships. And that's what, when we practice yoga, each movement that we make, a lot of the time will go with the breath. So it's together, and then you learn to truly tap into your body, tap into the wisdom, and to be aligned within your own soul with your breath. And plus, when we choose to breathe deeper, we are creating an extra time for ourselves in this lifetime. We are expanding our lifespan. I notice myself breathing deep all the time, and I don't need to. But I can consciously take those longer breaths and stay calmer or stay neutral. So, yeah, breath is an amazing tool. Like, breath alone is yoga. You don't have to stand in a pose. You can just breathe for 5 minutes a day, just those long, deep breaths.
Interesting. That's something I need to work on a
Well,
little bit
that's
more.
the reason I ask is because my karate instructor was talking to, I think it's your dad, your mom. He was talking to Michelle and mentioned about me and Chad. He said, if those guys knew how to breathe, they'd be unstoppable.
Yeah,
And I never really quite understood what he meant.
I was just going to say, the breath with even these guys, when they were training for MMA fights, it was so important to be, we would put them in these poses. The plow is like a shoulder stand, and then you just put your legs above your head, just a really crouching. And then, because you're in that position a lot when you're fighting, and what can you do? I mean, you can kind of have a little freak out, or you can choose to breathe and like lengthen it and gather yourself together. So
You can get claustrophobic there, and like you said, and
exactly.
then
get over it.
your breath starts freaking out, and then your heart rate goes up, and then your energy goes down because your heart rate's increasing.
Yeah.
And then through yoga, you remember those memories. They come back to you in the moment that you need them to come back to you. Like, it's just an automatic body memory to breathe in any difficult situations, not necessarily.
Right. Even just a daily something stressful happens, you get a text message, and instead of that, if it was a negative thing, instead of reacting to it physically, you can, all right, let it go, and again, you won. That's so interesting. I hear you keep talking about tapping into that wisdom and tapping into the knowledge, and it just reminds me of a video that I would watch. This guy is named Richard Bandler. He's considered one of the greatest hypnotists in the U.S. right now, and he's wild, man. He's unbelievably intelligent. He's just unorthodox as all get out.
Mm-hmm.
But him and a guy named John Grinder created a system called NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming. I was watching a seminar that Richard Bandler was doing, and he made this statement, and it was so interesting. It was the most interesting thing to me because have you guys ever heard of I don't know if some of the listeners have, but a floppy disk. A floppy disk is just a magnetized. There's two basically poles to it, and you can magnetize information to the floppy disk. And at the end of the day, when you look at some of the stuff in history, the Earth is there's two poles to it, and then it's just a big old magnetic field basically going around. And if you can magnetize information to a floppy disk, who's to say that you can't magnetize information to the basically the air, the atmosphere, the things around us, within us, and everywhere in essence, and that we would be able to tap in and gain knowledge from the weirdest places. And then it goes even a step further when I started meditating on it and thinking about it further, like, have I ever had a weird hunch, a weird feeling, or a weird voice that just says, well, what if you tried this? And it's like, you disregard it sometimes, and it's those fears again. What if I get judged? What if I'm not accepted? What if it's too hard? What if it doesn't work, or whatever it may be? And little did you know, if you would have capitalized on it and done it, it could have opened up an entire new door based on the things we were looking for or you're tapping into. And I just thought, like, whoa, what if the Earth is a big ass floppy disk? Like, you know what I'm saying? And you could tap into that energy and tap into that knowledge. Like, it was like, wow, that's something I got to meditate on more and understand further and kind of question and ask. But is that what you kind of gain from it too? Is to be able to tap into almost an energetic knowledge or a spiritual knowledge from going inside instead of reflecting outside?
Yes. So for me, it would be going inwards and either meditating or creating something on my own is when I feel like it's coming through, or also a lot of it is through journaling. Journaling is an amazing tool for all people that are creative to tap into what your soul wants to express. And by journaling, you're basically having a conversation with whatever energy is inside you that's driving you. You know, and sometimes you will write pages of things that are like, you're like, whoa, like I am in there. And it just flows and flows, and amazing wisdom comes out, or speaking it, or teaching it. You can prepare all day long for an amazing spiritual lesson, and then you come in and it's completely out the door and you're teaching something else, and it just flows through you and you are received, and you're feeling like a channel, like a divine channel of energy, whatever it may be. Like I don't have labels for anything. It's just I'm tuning into myself, basically. I'm listening to myself. There's nothing outside of my body that's going to teach me what I can learn inside myself.
Right. No, and like a lot of people will talk about it too. Like Nikola Tesla will talk about it. Einstein will talk about intuition. And Marcus Aurelius, considered the last great Roman emperor, he'll talk about being able to, again, retreat inside yourself. And no matter what is happening around you, like you can retreat inside yourself at any time, no matter the craziness, no matter the gray, no matter the dark, and get to a different spot and be able to, like you said, tune in. Because so I grew up in a religion. It was a Christian religion, but I didn't understand that it's just weird. As you grow up in a certain religion or a certain space, you feel like everybody else is there because they're different. They might be wrong, And or back to our conversation, like if they go to a different high school than you, it's like, no, they're on the opposing team. They're different and they're wrong. They're not just like us. But every single one is so similar. And I didn't understand chakras at the beginning. So when people start talking about chakras, I'm like, nah, that's some weird stuff. I don't know nothing about it because I was just uneducated, and I still need so much more education on it. But what exactly are chakras, and how does it apply to yoga, the practice, and being able to clear blocks that we contain in ourselves that stop us from attaining the things we want to attain?
So yeah, this is going to be really brief explanation
Okay.
of the chakra system.
Yeah.
Obviously, you could spend. There's just so much wisdom about it, and so many layers about it, and yeah. So to kind of explain it, maybe I'll just take us through like a little meditation.
Okay.
Yeah. So just closing the eyes
All
and
right.
Tuning into that inward place that we were talking about. Maybe taking a couple of conscious, mindful breaths. And tune into the very crown of your head. And the crown of your head is the crown chakra, the 1,000-petal lotus chakra. You can literally visualize a lotus flower at the crown of your head. You can maybe feel any tingling. There's always this tingling energy in the skull that we often just ignore. We don't notice it. And just having that open-minded wisdom, opening up towards the sky, towards anything that is above, into trust, into the deeper knowing and awareness, into tranquility, that very natural state of mind, and allowing any thought to come in, whatever thought there is. I like to usually set an intention in this way. An intention is something that you really desire, something the deepest dreams of your heart. And then just allowing that thought to be present in your mind through the crown chakra. It drops in there from where we don't know, we're not sure. We're just beginning to entertain this idea, just something that we really desire to happen in our lives for ourselves. And we begin to see, as we descend into the third eye space, this is the ajna, or third eye chakra, the intuition, where we can be the visionaries, we can see far beyond the impossible, the unseen, what seems so far away, or at some time just even seemed impossible, ridiculous. And now we can see far and beyond and vast, and just open our thought, that idea, into the vision that we can see and feel, tap into the intuition, the clairvoyance, that inner knowing, inner memories. And then allowing the thought or this idea or desire to descend into the throat area, into your mouth. You can feel it as you want to begin to speak and talk about this idea or this desire or this dream. You want to communicate, maybe you want to sing, maybe you want to write a poem about it, whatever it is, write a story, write a book, begin to talk about it, making any necessary conversations, even calls, and just allowing your truth to be spoken about this intention, this dream of yours. And then allowing this dream to descend into the heart space, on the Hatha chakra. And just, this is a place of love, place of openness, compassion, And begin to fall in love with this idea and of this dream, whatever it may be for you. Begin to feeling it fully. And this feeling makes you want to begin to create with your hands, whatever it may be that needs to be done externally. We're done dreaming, we're ready for the action, we're feeling this dropping into the belly, into the gut place of fire, and we begin to act. We feel that we're worthy, and oftentimes we feel we're not worthy. And oftentimes our dreams get blocked in one of these centers, and they don't go beyond, they don't keep descending. And through the fire, through this energy of driving, of igniting our intention, of bringing action into force, we begin to descend into hips, into creative flow. And we begin to truly create, and we begin to truly conceive this dream, and we begin to kind of cook it in that inner pot within the hips. And then we, through the roots, through the root chakra, the bottom of the spine, through the legs, we give birth to this dream, to this desire. And if that dream comes alive, it could be either a dream, it could also be physical existence like a baby, it could be anything for any of us. And often the dream doesn't come to life. It stays, becomes a stagnant energy or blocked energy. And the dreams that are following may get around it and be born, or maybe also be stuck behind that fear, or guilt, or shame, or feeling small or unworthy. So we begin to take a look, if this comes through our life, the chakra system, we begin to take a look in each chakra, and there's just so many meanings to this, of how we can unblock, what can we do, what practices can we practice, what their yoga poses, they are moving us through the blocks. The breath moves us through the blocks, the meditation moves us through the blocks. We can choose to work with each individual chakra and just feel the energy swirling and circling, and where is the energy a little bit stuck, how can we help ourselves. There's elements that have to do with the chakras, the earth, the water, the fire, the air, the ether, which is above, and the time of year, the moon phases, just everything is just intertwines or with each other. And we can also work when we begin, the intention and the idea, it comes from above, drops down, and if we want to clear the chakras, we begin to work our way from the bottom up, and we begin to clear and awaken that energy of Shakti, of Kundalini that sleeps at the root chakra. And as it begins to rise, we work through our fears, our guilt, our shame, our unworthiness, our acting, our lies, just any disbelief, distrust, and then out through the crown to have that awareness of the intention of the dreams. And when we work with chakras and we combine that with yoga, we bring ourselves home. We bring all the parts of ourselves back into the wholeness, into our full power, integration of all the symbols, all that we need in order to bring that one dream or many dreams. And just allowing yourself to come back into your third eye space. Just resting in this space, bringing awareness back externally into this room. Breathing into that chakra center line from your tailbone all the way up through the spine, out through the crown of your head. And breathing that energy energy back in through the roots and into the earth. Thank you. You can come back. How are you feeling?
Feel rested.
I'm very tired.
Very rested.
Sleepy,
Mm-hmm.
dreamy. Interesting. Yeah, it's just that energy of meditation, of the calmness.
Oh, I love it. There's a lot in there, especially too about even being able to create, like you said. It's like there's that idea, and there's the vision of the idea, and then there's the speaking it into existence or developing it into the worldly, and there's dropping it down into the solar plexus, into the gut, or the
Heart to
yeah, all of at the heart, and falling in love and believing and enjoying it, and then the solar plexus of the gut where the action takes place. And it's like when it reminds me like that fight or flight, where you get nervous or you get excited. It's like you're out of there, or you're going to take action, or you're going to run from it.
And then it gets stuck.
Right.
It creates a block, and you just have to unwind it.
Wild. Man, I tell you what though, incredible. I'm thankful for you, Anya.
Thank you.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to see and hear the feedback from this. But before we begin to wrap things up, do you have any questions for me? Is there any last gold nuggets you want to share with any of the listeners who are kind of deciding, should I venture into yoga, should I not?
So yeah, maybe I will just add, so teaching yoga was not enough for me.
Yeah.
An hour or an hour and 15 minutes was just, it's just like a tease, like a tiny slice of a yummy delicious pie that we're just like craving. So, and I just, through the yoga practices, through my own learnings and learning from my teachers, I felt the calling to make it bigger. And then I created workshops that I would offer once a month, and it would be for women. It would be a retreat style, like a yoga energy of divine feminine, of Shakti. And then I would offer these retreats for 3 or 4 hours, and it would be that time for yoga and meditation and just gathering together, setting intentions, doing sacred ceremony and practices. So that happened a couple of years ago, and it was just really inspiring and amazing. It felt like such a movement for me, and felt like my divine purpose to serve women, because that's who I am.
Yes.
It's close to me. And through the practices, I kept reawakening, remembering. It felt through my teachers triggering those memories in me to naturally teach women on how to reawaken to their full divine wholeness and potential of their lives, of their purpose, their offerings. And that's still happening. So it's not just yoga. I just want to say, like, once a month, there's always this amazing magical place that women can come and gather and be totally guided. We're all guided through that magical experience. And then I also have taken some things online, because I also feel I want to reach more people and I want to reach more women by bringing it online. So there's some programs that are coming soon, this magical, I consider them yoga, and yoga is one of my tools that is totally guiding me through it. There might not be asanas in there, but there's mantra and mudra and meditation and just weekly sadhanas, the practices that are helping us to reawaken and to return home to ourselves. So my next course is coming October 21st, and it's called Shadow Magic.
Beautiful.
And it's about diving into the dark, and it's about diving into our demons and our shadows and our grief and pain and shame and guilt and letting it go and facing our dark self, facing the opposite dark sister. So
Wow.
it's offered for women. I'm going to be talking more about it.
Yeah. Tell us as much as you possibly can, because I love that she said that. There's this a guy, he's a psychologist too, Carl Jung, and
Yeah.
he talks about that same thing, being able to face that shadow, because there's a shadow you too, and it's that shame, it's that guilt, and you got to be able to get in there, and
we shoved it down for hundreds of years.
Right.
All we need is just to go down there and be genuinely, authentically sympathetic
Right.
to that dark part of us.
Yes.
So it can become our ally. So it can become the actual medicine.
Right.
For the world.
Instead of our own poisoning ourselves. Yeah.
So it's a deep, deep, deep spiritual, magical world, and I'm calling upon women to hear me, my soul sisters, to come along for the amazing magical journey.
How would somebody be able to get signed up for one of these workshops?
So there's a website. It's goddessretreat.yoga.
Goddessretreat.yoga.
And all the information is there.
Perfect. Nice. Man, I'll tell you what, I'm so thankful for you. So thankful for you, and a lot of the guidance you've been able to give me through meditation, and just like that, it's like you just feel relaxed, you feel tired, you feel good. It's just like, especially if you come in and you're just high strung day, and then
you just don't give a shit about it.
Right.
And it just feels good.
Exactly.
And you enjoy life, even if it's chaos
right.
around you. You just have to sit in that space and hold space for your body going through this life, basically.
Yeah.
And just do your best to be your highest self.
Right. 100%. And unfolding those layers, just like you say, of that lotus, where it's layers and layers and layers and layers and petals, and it's opening and opening and opening. Something interesting about the lotus is it grows through muddy, like heavy muddy waters. Like it has to really work to get to the top of the water where it blooms. And it's like, that's kind of that same principle. You got to work to get to the top where you can bloom and get past all those blockages.
And keep your roots in that dirt, that darkness, and that muddiness.
Right.
And that's where we become beautiful.
Yes. Not getting too, I don't know, it might have been, I think it was JoJo, where he's like, don't get too high. We had an ex-NFL player on our last podcast, and he was talking about where you can't get too high. You got to keep grounded and get high at the same time. So you meet right center. Yeah.
Two opposites. It's just being that guardian of yourself, of those two opposites of yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. Anya, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you have any more gold nuggets to share before we wrap this up?
Maybe one.
Yes.
When you were talking about the twins and just the feeling that connection to people.
Yeah.
I have that in my life. I just want to say, like, everyone I have is it feels like your twin flame. Like, you don't have to have an actual twin to feel that connection with people.
Right.
And I just invite everyone to yoga and to feel that unity and that connection and that twin flame energy, where we don't ever have to be together to feel each other and to be in each other's energy. Yeah.
Nice. And it could be as weird as you're thinking of somebody and then they call you. Yeah. It's like, it's that type of weird stuff where
it's just natural magic to me.
You're in each other's energy. You know? Man, I love it. Do you have any last questions, Corey?
No questions. I would just encourage people to go back and listen to that little meditation.
Oh, yes.
Save it.
Yes.
Save it and use it.
I was almost out.
Awesome. I was out. I think.
Yeah, it's and I'm telling you, especially after you get a good deep, you warm your body up, you stretch, and then, dude, she'll walk you through one of those, and they get so vivid. You just go into a whole nother world. It's beautiful. So it's
come together.
It's good. Absolutely. Well, we're thankful for you, Anya.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the listeners. We're always blessed. And as always, guys, coming to you raw.
Thank you.
That was great.
Mm.